My name is Nicole Ellis. I am doing Eureka Math Module 3 that deals with measurement and length. And my sister is my student today. She's going to be helping me throughout this. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about measurement. And I've collected some items for you to measure on your own, and we'll go through one together. So we're going to start out with this tape dispenser and post-it notes. So just by looking at them, which one do you think might be longer than the other?
The tape dispenser.
Okay, so we think the tape dispenser might be longer. So what would I need in order to find out which one is longer?
Some kind of tape measure.
Okay, so I have a tape measure here. And so what I'm going to do is measure each of these things. But first I want to line them up so they look like they start at about the same point, like this. And then I'm going to take my tape measure and I'm going to struggle with the tape measure, and I'm going to line it up the best that I can. So the post-it notes look like they're about how many inches?
About 3 inches.
3 inches for the post-it notes. And now let's look at the tape dispenser. So now we can see the tape dispenser is about 3.5 inches. So if the post-it notes are 3 inches long and the tape dispenser is 3.5 inches long, which one do you think will be bigger?
The tape dispenser.
The tape dispenser, because 3.5 is bigger than 3, right? Okay, so now that we've done our example, I'm going to let you use the tape measure, and we're going to start on our worksheet. So the first one we're going to do together. So we have a pink pen and a striped pen, like it says in number 1. So our first question is, how did you determine the endpoints? So that gives us a clue that we need to line up our endpoints. We need to choose where we're going to start. Can we start measuring like this? Will that make sense?
No.
No, because if we start here, they won't be on the same playing field. The one will have an advantage over the other. And we want to make sure it's equal so we can tell which one is longer if we needed it to fit in a certain space. So if I'm measuring, when I measured with the post-it notes, did I start measuring from the middle? No, because that doesn't make sense. If I want to measure the whole post-it note, I need to start from either this end or this end. And it shouldn't matter which one, because it should be the same either way you measure. So I'm going to let you go ahead and measure these. Which one do you think is longer just by looking at them? If we line them up at the endpoints.
The pink one.
The pink pen as compared to the striped pen. So now we're going to measure. So we're measuring the striped pen first. It looks like it's about
4.5.
4.5 inches. And the pink pen
About 6
is
inches.
about 6 inches. Okay, so on our paper, we're going to skip number 1 for now because we just did the measuring. So how many inches did the striped pen measure? We said it was about 4.5. And then how many inches did the pink pen measure? 6 inches. Okay, so going back to this first question, how did you determine the endpoints? What did we do to make them even?
We lined up the same side on each pen.
So we lined up like both of the bottoms of the pen or something. You can just line them up at the bottom. All right, good job, first grader. Were their measurements the same is the next question. So yes or no, we're going to circle.
No.
We said no because the striped pen was how much?
4.5 inches.
And the pink pen was how much?
About 6 inches.
6 inches. So we know that 6 inches is going to be longer or bigger than 4.5 because 6 comes after 4 on a number line if we were looking at a number line. Okay, so were their measurements the same? We said no. The next question is, if not, which item was longer? So we said they were not the same. So which one was longer? The pink pen or the striped pen?
The pink pen.
Okay, great. Now, number 2, we're going to set these aside and put these here instead. So here we have a wallet and a pink box. So we're going to measure and see which one of these is longer. And I'm going to go turn the YouTube ad off. Okay, coming back to it. That's going to happen a lot as a teacher. Yes, so we're comparing these two items. So what do they look like when you first look at them without measuring?
They both look like rectangles.
Did they look like they're about the same length? Or
Yeah.
are they different?
They look about the same length.
Okay, so they look about the same. So what's the first thing we need to do if we want to measure them comparatively?
We gotta line them up end to end.
Okay, so we're going to line them up end to end. They still look like they're about the same. So so how did we determine the endpoints? And you said that we lined them up both at the bottom. Next question. This is where we measure. So first we're going to measure the wallet. So move that out of the way. So if this were a lower level student, what I would do is I would help them also a lot more with this second problem. And I would, probably with both problems, I would help them measure by helping them line up the objects first and then being very attentive to how I show them the numbers on the tape measure and how that lines up with the object, and by rounding up and not being too specific about the numbering. So going back to the lesson, this wallet looks like it's going to be about how many inches?
7.5.
Okay, so we're going to round up and say 7.5 because it wasn't quite. But that's going to make it easier for us. Okay, so we said the wallet was 7.5 inches. Now we're going to move this aside and we're going to measure the pink box, top to bottom. So if this were a higher level student, what I might do is get these mini post-it notes and let them measure this out like this, where they would put post-it notes touching each other all the way to the top of this object, and then we would determine whether that's more accurate than using a tape measure or not, which it would not be because these do not have numbers on them that we could, concrete numbers that we could write down and look at. My sister's laughing at me. So my higher level student might say that this pink box is about four mini post-its long. But for this case, we're going to say this is just an on-level student. So we're going to look at our numbers, our concrete numbers, and we're going to say that this object is
about 7.5 as well.
About 7.5 inches as well. And we're going to round up again because it wasn't quite 7.5, but it will make it easier for us. Okay, so then I'm going to let you answer the rest of the questions on your own. Next question is, were their measurements the same? Yes or no? See, we circled yes, and then if not, which item is longer. So I left space for them to write so they could say which one was longer, or if they were the same, they would write they were the same, just like that. So that's the end of our lesson. Thanks for joining me. Bye.